morning, Cherokee Nation. I am so happy to be here with you this morning. I'm excited to share a little bit of news that I witnessed firsthand, and I'm going to give you a heads up because we talk about being fair and transparent. I was a plaintiff in this case, so I am a little bit biased, just a little bit. But you may or may not heard that our tribal elected officials, particularly the tribal council and the chief, gave themselves a pay raise without signing anything or doing any kind of public vote. That's kind of problematic per our Cherokee Nation Constitution. So let me give you some background. January 2022, the tribal council appoints their political buddies to a employee or elected official compensation committee. So these are non-elected officials being put on a compensation committee to set the compensation or pay rates for elected officials. But do they stop there? No, they go beyond that and try to give folks like myself after the fact who've already retired from their earlier roles, and gave them additional monies for retirement. Plus, on top of that, health care stipends, plus their spouse, whether they're Indian or not. I mean, my husband's Wyandotte, gave them stipends. And for the record, Chief Chad Smith, former Councilman David Walking Stick, and former Councilwoman Cara Cowan Watts, myself, have not received any of these funds. I think they were trying to put out a rumor that we had. That's not the case. So back to January 2022, they allowed a report without a public vote, without the power of the purse strings, which is only given to those we elect on the tribal council per the Cherokee Nation Constitution, a 26% increase for each year over 3 years. So let me give you an idea. The chief went from 190,000 to 365,000 this year. That is $30,416 per month. The deputy chief went from 114,000 per year to 220,000 per year. That is $18,333 per month. And let me note, if you go and Google the average annual income for our 14 county areas, that's about how much these two, the current chief and deputy chief, are making per month. So I want you, let's stop there again. Google for yourself and figure out that our chief and deputy chief gave themselves pay raises, which is equivalent to what most Cherokees on average in the 14 counties make per year, they are making in 1 month. But the tribal council people who have the power of the purse strings, they went from $63,000 to $121,000 last year. That is $10,083 per month. So if they are not answering your phone call, if they are telling you no, we're out of money, if they're not helping you, that is kind of odd. It's interesting to me. The speaker of the tribal council went from $75,000 to $133,000. That is $11,083 per month. Okay, so that's the background. Whether you agree or disagree, we are a huge tribe. We have a magnificent budget right now. We run all sorts of business operations. To be fair, that is probably what you would get in industry. Now, the question of whether or not these people would qualify for those jobs on an open market in industry, that's for you to decide at the ballot box and in the elections. But no, if you look at their resumes, most of them, if they had gainful employment before, it was not at these levels. And of course, you can see that's a story for another day, what kind of jobs they get now after they are elected or they've termed out. Plus, don't forget retirement. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Okay, so that's my notes on the background, the pay raise they gave themselves. They never took a public vote. The Cherokee Nation Constitution says that the tribal council, which is our unicameral legislative branch, preserves the sole right for the power of the purse strings, meaning they pass the budget and the executive branch then executes the budget. So here's some of my notes. We had our final hearing in the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court. It was a continuation. So we started out, I think, October. There was a continuation at the request saying they weren't prepared on the tribal council side. They didn't know anything about this. Remember, we started this in the fall of 2022. That's when this lawsuit was filed. The lawsuit was filed by David Walkingstick and myself, along with 20 plus other Cherokee Nation citizens who said enough is enough. This is an unconstitutional action. They did not take a public vote on their pay raise because guess what? They wanted political cover. They wanted to say they didn't really vote for themselves to have that significant of money while Cherokees suffered throughout the 14 counties or at large. Okay, so October 28th hearing. Here's the notes that I took from that hearing. Attorney Chad Smith, our former chief, was our attorney pro bono. He gave oral arguments for more than 30 minutes and cited significant case law, constitutional provisions, meaning Cherokee Nation constitutional provisions, and federal case law. It was almost comical the number of citations he provided supporting the idea that they had, in the cover of darkness, given away their authority under the Cherokee Nation Constitution to unelected, meaning non-elected, regular folks they had appointed that were politicos. And if you look, most of them were people that had donated significant dollars to their campaigns. So we were in court for about an hour. Tribal Council attorney John Young, John Young, not Nathan Young, but John Young, for the Tribal Council asked for a continuance. The judges went into the chambers with our attorney, and also present was Attorney General Chad Harsha and Attorney Peyton Qualls. I understand Peyton works for Cherokee Nation businesses, but she was there somehow for the government. And not at the table, but in the room, in the courtroom, was Cherokee Nation Businesses Board of Directors attorney Todd Hembry, who used to serve as the Tribal Council attorney and the AG for the Cherokee Nation. Let's see. Most people were friendly, but I think that Chad ultimately represented us with respect, balance, fairness, and remained calm throughout the process. It was very impressive, but that was typical of how he conducted himself as a leader. So this got pushed to December 23rd, right before Christmas, but we still showed up. There were several of us as plaintiffs that did not let this deter us. But let me note some things from this first hearing before it was continued. So I already talked to you about what they did for their pay raises. Well, somehow they started a retirement annuity for the tribal council chief and deputy chiefs who had served 2 4-year terms. And that was for $44,000. But apparently that wasn't enough. So somehow, without really, in the dark of night, I'm not sure how they did this, they grossed up the annuity by 20% to cover taxes without notice, to my knowledge, other than a report that Chad Smith found through FOIAs or online through his process of doing research to advocate for us in court. So all of a sudden, the elected official pay raises went also to retirement for elected officials in the Cherokee Nation. This is not why I ran for office. I don't understand. I'm confused. And if you didn't know anything about it, you need to hold your elected officials accountable for this. Then next, apparently, during this first one of 2 court hearings in the front of the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court, they added retirement benefits for the tribal council chief and deputy chiefs who served 2 4-year terms, including $500 monthly for healthcare costs. Now, again, David Walkingstick, Chad Smith, and I, Cara Cowan Watts, have not seen any of this. Then let's top that off. I'm sure all of you, for your non-Indian spouses or non-Cherokee spouses, would love to have this one. The spouse of the tribal council chief and deputy chiefs who have served 2 4-year terms will also receive a $500 per month healthcare cost. I'm sure my Wyandotte would love this. We're small business owners. This would go towards a lot of things. There was a number of things that just haven't made the light of day that were brought up during that first hearing. So let's go on to the continued hearing, December 23rd. Here's from my notes. Former Chief Chad Smith did represent our class or group of people pro bono again and did an exceptional job. Attending were Chief Chad Smith, Roger Johnson, a tribal citizen, David Walkingstick, former tribal council, and Deb Reed, an attorney that you may be familiar with. And we're all part of the class. Then the key legal issue is, was it constitutional for elected officials to designate their power to non-elected officials to pass budgetary items? And again, the Cherokee Nation Constitution preserves the power of the purse strings for our Cherokee Nation Tribal Council. Then this is year 2 or 3 of the case, and we hope to have a ruling by the Supreme Court within 6 months. Let's see. Key questions from the hearing may have to be answered by the courts. This is what you'll need to look for in the documents. Who has standing to sue council or the tribe for unconstitutional laws or actions? One of the things that makes us unique as Cherokee people, in my opinion, in my experience for government, is that as Cherokee people, we are very much able to participate in our government traditionally, to the point where you do not have to be an attorney to represent yourself in tribal court. I mean, in today's environment, that could be bad, but also there's beauty in that, because I have seen many Cherokee Nation citizens who are not attorneys represent themselves successfully in a culturally appropriate setting, meaning our tribal court. And so the idea that we as tribal citizens may not have standing in Cherokee Nation court to ask the council or the tribal government whether their actions are unconstitutional is very bothering to me. Next, what rights do Cherokees have under the Cherokee Nation Constitution? Wow, post McGirt, and we're asking these kinds of questions. Our Constitution is the governing document where I feel like even when there's been vast differences in the Cherokee Nation, we all stood on the same principles of fairness and equity and access to our government. So it's disappointing that that may be limited under this administration that has been in power for the last 14 years. Next, what rights okay, nope, we've covered that. Is there complete immunity for elected officials of the Cherokee Nation? In other words, do they have liability for any of their actions that they take as elected officials? Does the Cherokee Nation Tribal Council have to actively vote as part of their power of the purse strings, or can they delegate that power to the appointed Citizens Compensation Committee? How did the Citizens Compensation Committee recommendation for pay raises and retirement become law, or effectively become law, or an approved budget if the council never voted upon it in public or otherwise? Next, what was the source of funds or specifics for pay raises and these retirement benefits, including health care for the former elected official and their spouse, whether they're Indian or Cherokee or not? Do Cherokee Nation citizens, the people, have a right to go to the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court to right wrongs? It would be disturbing if that was not the case. But at the end of the day, our elected officials are making more than ever and appear to do much less with little to no transparency or oversight, while our employees continue to suffer. Just this year, will our employees be brought to $15 an hour as a base salary or base income? Just this year, when the market responded to this 2-3 years ago. And we have put out, I've seen the headlines multiple times declaring that we're already paying people $15 an hour. And I know that is not true. I've had too many employees come to me that are not making that after considerable time. And it's Unacceptable. And I believe what I've been told by employees that includes the Cherokee Nation businesses side, not just our government. So again, false headlines by the tribe. The council makes $10,000 per month plus full benefits, car stipends, travel budget, and more without a public vote on record. That is disturbing. So if you're interested, I hope you take time to FOIA. I hope you take time to search the headlines and search the news and the website for yourself. Ask your council person. They are accountable to you. There is an election coming up, and don't forget to vote on Saturday, June 7th, 2025. This is still our Cherokee Nation, and this is the news by Cara Cowan Watts. Good morning, and have a great day, Cherokee Nation. What
Join the conversation. Discover stories and insights that matter to you. Subscribe to Cherokee 411 with Cara and stay connected with independent media, real, relevant, and unfiltered.